All right, all right, all right. What's going on, everybody? How you doing, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls? It is another lovely Saturday early afternoon. We have some bounties to go after. We're going to jump right into it, to be quite honest. So we're going to go for those trees. Let's get this loadout set up while you guys are jumping on in on the stream. Thank you again for another lovely day. All right, what about my tools, though? What about my tools? There we go. Okay, so you know what? I'm going to switch this up. So right now I have a little bit of complications running these epic level tiers. And by complications, I mean, you know, if I don't hit one of my chalices, for any of you that are brand new wanting to know what some of these relics do, the chalice, 50% chance to give you 2,000 health or minus 500 health, depending on your destiny. So it's an RNG roll. If I don't hit one of them on a run, which pretty much is like pretty much a 25% chance, right? Because it's a flip of a coin twice, and all you have to do is hit it once, and you should be a comfortable win. Should be a comfortable win. With, of course, including the use of these other relics here, these rare type relics: the cookie, the honeycomb, the walnuts, and the berries. Let's see. Sandy Oreo's jumping on in, saying, "I'm assuming pendants will go up in the future when people are actually playing the game. Best to get a pendants and everything else now or later." It's a really good question, Sandy. Really good question. Let's, before we get into the meat and potatoes of today's stream, what do we think are going to happen with pendant prices? Honestly, I personally think that pendant prices are probably going to be coming down. I think players might be flooding the market once new fiat on-ramps happen. And also, like, I think what's going to be really interesting to see is going to be what exactly are these, like those payment methods with Binance and Crypto.com. Like, what exactly is that? I think it might be more than just like you hooking up your wallet to the game so that you can like make a payment. You know, I say that because like Crypto.com is one of the leading, if not the leading, investor in Engine's EFI token. So I wouldn't be surprised if Crypto.com is supporting Engine's #1 game, at least at this point. To what degree, who knows, but it's something I'm keeping in the back of my mind. And then also with Binance, you know, Binance did mention a couple weeks ago, maybe a month ago, I think it's not less than a month, that they were, you know, they went ahead and they did some type of collaboration with Axie Infinity to be able to like have a bridge between the Ronin network and the you know, the Axie game and Binance accounts. So not saying that that's the type of collaboration we're going to have here. It could just be a simple payment method, you know, but it's something interesting to keep in the back of your mind. Let's see. What's this here? We got a question coming in. Coco, I think you think that they should go up 10% because 50%? Let's see. You think that they should go up 10% because 50% is not ready for, and then you didn't type the rest. Yeah, I would probably bet against that. My guess is that pendant prices are going to come down. And I say this because of, you know, over the course, and this kind of hits the topic on today, you know, VGBB, who's like one of the top players in the game right now, made a comment the other day that he was going through some old VODs and he noticed that I had been streaming for more than a year, which caught me by surprise. I hadn't even been thinking about that. So yeah, over the course of the year, really with Lost Relics, like I've noticed a lot of things when it comes to pendants. in the early parts of the leveling race, most players were using pendants as an ability to gold farm so that they can level up their production skills. These are how some of the top producers in the game in the early months got off to such a huge lead. And in the very beginning of the game, that lead was actually humongous. Oh, my bad. You were talking about the Chalice of Evernhall. Yeah, we'll come right back. So what's the math on if you have 2 flips of a coin? That's 50% each times 2, and you have to hit it once. I used to know this math off the top of my head. What the odds of the percentages are. If you flip a quarter 2 times, what are the odds that one of them's going to come up one of them's going to come up heads? If you flip twice, I think the math is 25%, but it used to be a little bit more. I'd have to actually go and look at it. But yeah, going back to the idea about pendant prices, just because I think that might be a little bit more informative for the upcoming patch that's coming out, because I think it's going to affect all players. All right, there's 1 out, and there's 2. All right, so now we got a comfortable win. Well, oh, come on, I was really hoping that would get him. You know, players that got that early gold farming lead for production skills, like, they crushed it on the market. They were able to use that, like, there used to be a player, and I don't know if he's around or if he changed his name anymore. His name was Danny. At the very beginning of the game, he was, like, one of the very first people that were, like, able to... He focused originally on engineering. He was one of the first people that got to the uncommon and epic, and rare tools. And because of that, he was one of the very first players to discover in the game that those tools led to double XP. And the fact that they led to double XP, like, that's game changer, right? Because we were in the beginning of the game, this race to just get on top of the leaderboards, you know, and he was able to not only figure that out, you know, once that information got out to the players, people were willing to pay him a premium in gold, and he was able to, like, continue to gold farm. I mean, the farming was so hard, and he had competition too. I believe Sambam was there, and I was trying to keep up. Yeah, what do we got here? So, you know, over the course of time, you know, I think that race has definitely slowed down. It's actually been replaced, I think, right? Because now we have the bounty race, which some lucky people have already won. I think there's only 2 of the mythical swords left in the bounty shop. So that's going to be exciting to watch them finish. You know, I wonder if it's a coincidence. Probably not. I know. I mean, it probably is a coincidence. But, like, what are the odds that we have a major patch coming out right now at the exact same time that the bounty race is about to end? I gave it a good run for a few months there, and I was near the top for a little while, but, you know, life and getting engaged and everything kind of took over, so I had to pull a little bit of time out. But I just decided to, at least when it comes to the leaderboard grind, you know, right now with the off season of the game coming up, or since we're already pretty much through the off season, we're coming into, like, if we're talking baseball here, we're going into spring training, right? Like, now's the time to prepare, start memorizing, like, gold prices, start memorizing Shadowstone prices, engine prices, start getting your skills up, getting ready for this next event. You know, the later we get into September, the more likely that this next event, this next patch will maybe also be the Halloween patch. Maybe we get both patches in one, which would make a lot of sense for the economy, right? Because if you're going to roll out a new economy feature, you're going to want to do it where you have more activity in the game, right? So that, I mean, one, players got to test it out, get a feel for it. Cliff, I'm sure, like, there's no way you can, when it comes to, like, free open markets between players, like, there's no way to anticipate with 100% accuracy what players are going to do, you know? Like, you know, when it comes to economics, like, the main assumption in any type of economics is that is that individuals will act rationally, but we all know that that's not human beings' nature. On top of that, like when it comes to gaming, that's definitely not gamers' nature, to act rationally. Some of us just want to be able to accomplish one thing, and then that kind of could screw up the market, or not screw it up, but like that just changes the market then from what is anticipated. Examples of this could be like Yeah Boy, for example, collecting all of that bauxite. He's got like probably 200K bauxite now available. For an item a common item that has no use. I could see, I could see a world where that might not have been planned for. Same thing with someone maybe coming in and like purchasing all the Lambos, like Yusuf did during the Christmas event. Not all the Lambos, right? He didn't get all them all, but like coming in like dropping so much of a percentage in one player's hands, or maybe one player in the beginning of the game was able to farm a dungeon, that other people weren't able to farm, and collected a lot of, there's a lot of ways that that the economy cannot be predicted, which is really what makes it a market, right? And leads to arbitrage and leads to players being able to make educated choices on how they want to proceed. Oh. But yeah. Give me that. I think Soul was streaming a little bit earlier. Maybe he's still streaming. I wasn't watching right now. But he was making comments about like items that don't have uses. Now's the time to reflect on what we think those items uses can be going into this next patch. For most players, if you're one of the OG players, feel free to, you're going to feel comfortable enough to speculate on what you think's going to happen next. Could be a big win, could be a big loss. I've seen it happen both ways before, people have made huge purchases on legendary items right before a major patch to find out that they were nerfed. I've also seen it to where, I've also benefited from like making certain predictions, like when it comes to, the patches before Christmas of 2020, I was assuming that but everyone was putting swords at a premium and completely discounting axes. So you saw things like Grim Dividers, legendary axes being sold significantly less than all the other legendaries, so then all of a sudden we get an axe buff. It's going to happen. So play cautiously, be careful. Anyone who's playing right now, like seriously playing, like not just whoever's grinding right now in preparation of this next patch, be cautious, be careful. Cliff has said it himself in the interview that some major things are going to change. And if some major things are going to change, then he even said he expects the market to change because of them. So, when the creator of the game is telling you what he expects, maybe listen. Maybe listen. Anyway, thank you guys who are jumping in the chat right now. Come in real quick and give me a quick shout out. Give me a quick hello. Petty Frogger TV's in here in the house. Coco as always. Winds of Ash is a legendary item, undervalued. Let me put it this way. So not financial advice. I can give you one of two answers, one of two perspectives, and then you can make your own decision. So I can tell you one of two things. I can either tell you the price that I think it can go to, or I can tell you the time frame in which I think it could go up. You can't have both, because if I had both, I could predict the future. Which one do you want? Do you want price or do you want time? Frogger. Hey. Slight Nuggles coming in with the resub. 5 months, man. 5 months. Can you believe it? How time flies, guys. How time flies. I have, going with how time flies. When VGBB came in and made that comment the other day about like how long I had been streaming Lost Relics, it just got me excited to go back, and I was streaming on Twitch for the most part when I got started, and then started a couple months later on YouTube a little bit. So I went back to my very first YouTube comment. I mean, very first YouTube video, and I was listening to it yesterday, and I say two things that just blew my mind. 1 year ago, it was during the Halloween event. So if you haven't experienced a Halloween event, go back and look at my very first one. The first thing that I said was like, "Oh my gosh, Bitcoin just passed 12,000. If you $12,000, guys, $12,000 for Bitcoin, and now we are in September 2021 with Bitcoin like above, what is it at, like 45,000 right now? I haven't even looked at the price. It's just like, that's crazy. And then the other one, later on, I think in one of the comments, I had mentioned that like, hey, if you wanted to get into the game, you could buy a legendary set of weapons for roughly $60. Like right now, if you want a legendary, and at the time I was talking about legendary sword and legendary bow for $60 combined. Now, if you want that, like you're talking about what's a legendary bow? Oh, so you were coming back. You want to know time for the Winds of Ash. Okay, so let's really quick. It was 100 engine for the bow, and let's say 70 engine for a sword or so for the floor. So that's what, 230 engine. Let's just round it down to 200 engine at $1.50. What's it at right now? $8.60. Let's say $1.50, 200 engine. That's $300. From $60 to $300 in less than a year. And that's without talking about relics. That's like ridiculous. I mean, so cool. That's how much the player base has grown. But okay, coming back really quick with Coco's question. So you're wanting to know about time. Okay, so look, when it comes to time, I think the main way to like be able to anticipate price appreciations of these items is the player base, right? Right now I think we can all agree, if you've been playing for a little while, I think we can all agree that right now the player base of Lost Relics is very low. Okay. Even saying that right now we have nearly 400 players online. That's fine. But even with it being very low, keep into consideration, just like I said a year ago, back then we had 600 players monthly, right? Now we have 10x that, 6,000, 7,000 members, 6,000, high 6,000s monthly. You know, we hit up to 20 something thousand monthly. Okay. So in terms of time, the things to pay attention to is going to be these Halloween and Christmas events. See, the thing about the holiday season, like just in general for crypto in general, the holiday seasons tend to be a major boost for boosts for crypto, which of course affects crypto gaming. You know, the main reason people say is that people go home for holidays and they talk about everything that's happened to them for the year. So if they're involved in gaming, they get their friends in, their family members in, so on and so forth. Obviously, we all know that Lost Relic events are huge premiums. So if we're talking about time here, I think the important thing to know is, the important question on time is, how long will it take the player base of Lost Relics to grow to a point where not every single player could get a hold of one of those legendary bows? And legendary bows, as we all know, are much more rare than legendary melee weapons. So I already think we're on that cusp. So I wouldn't be surprised. The legendary weapons and actually the legendary bows are, I think, my main item of focus. Not to purchase. I've already made my investments, but more to just keep an eye on, because I think over the course of the fourth quarter of 2021, I think that price appreciation of those items will be the like telltale signs of how healthy the Lost Relics economy is. I can make an argument both ways, but I personally think November, December for a time frame to be able to evaluate whether we see those items, those bows increasing in price. So if it's at 150 engine now, you know, I think when you look at all the other bows, I think 150 engine is about the base, right? Because the Winds of Ash, I think, is the cheapest legendary bow off the top of my head. Is that correct? Can someone confirm that real quick? Ooh. All right, that sucked. So, okay, here's where I did not get my win, so I'm gonna have to burn a potion, or burn consumables along the way if I find it. Nuggle, thank you, brother. Glad you are in the house today. You know, I think, I mean, we can make arguments both ways on what's going to happen next. Um, you know, I've heard some streamers say that they thought that the value of engine was going to go up, but that the engine value of NFTs is going to go up, isn't going to go up. So like, if that Winds of Ash is 150 engine, their argument is that it's going to stay at 150 engine, but the engine will, the price of engine will go up, which makes, in terms of a dollar valuation, the a more expensive NFT, right? I think there's like, I remember back when I was trying to figure all this out. And look, I'm not saying that I have the correct answers. I'm just saying that I've come to my own personal opinion. I remember like really hard in October, November of last year. This is when I was originally starting to invest more heavily in Lost Relics. I remember that there was a big debate, and I think there still is, about like, should you price these NFTs in dollars or should you price them in engine? I think I don't think that there is a clear answer, like what is the right thing to do, but I do think that there is a clear trend. You know, I think the newer the player into Lost Relics, the more likely they're going to price it in dollars, and the more older the player gets into Lost Relics or stays within Lost Relics' economy, the more they are to appreciate, the more they're likely to view them in engine. And the reason why is because, and this might all have changed, but I think the reason why is because when someone's coming into the economy for the first time, the only thing they typically have to spend is dollars. It isn't until they get their hands on engine, maybe they flip one or two NFTs, or maybe, you know, maybe they had a big basket of engine tokens that they invested from the ICO or whatever. It isn't until they like really get in where they start to think about getting their money back in terms of engine. Maybe that's because that's how the Engine X price market price is listed. You know, maybe that's going to change. Maybe now people are going to start thinking about it in terms of shadow stones. You know, even though shadow stones have a direct correlation to engine, you know, you can see how players think can change their thought process. Slight. Oh. Dude, I'm trying, man. I'm trying. Look, I'm gonna be honest with you guys. And I've had this debate with a bunch of other major players in Lost Relics, talking about the sharing of information, right? Obviously, the more higher up, like this is where my mind is thinking right now. Like, I'm a firm believer in like, look, I think that the way this all comes down to my personal ideas here, my personal thesis of what, and this is one of the reasons why I was asking Cliff, like, what he thinks the metaverse is. I don't know what's going to happen with the metaverse, and I don't know what part Lost Relics is going to have in it. What I do know is that Lost Relics is going to be, I think, going to be one of the top 5 games in the metaverse. One, because it's one of the oldest. Two, I mean, well, no, sorry, let's change that. One, because of how talented Cliff is. Two, because of how much of a time advantage it has versus new games that are coming out now. Like, Axie had a 1-year development head start on Engine. Is it a coincidence that Axie's the first one to explode? I don't know. I don't think so. I think that time advantage is what led it there. You know, I think that's going to be happening with other games too. So, you know, that's the way. I mean, and that would also line up with my idea about how long games take to develop, right? If we're all in early access, and these games and economies need to be built out, obviously the more time with a dedicated team or individual, the more likely that it will continue to grow. Doesn't mean it's for a certainty, right? But it's a tough one. I think that I don't think gamers. And maybe I mean, look, maybe I just don't know what the hell I'm talking about. But I don't think gamers really have a clear understanding of what the metaverse is gonna be. The way I see the metaverse is I see it like a world. Like when I think back about like the early days of RuneScape, I think back about how like these different hubs were of player activity where like players would coalesce, right? So if we're talking about RuneScape, like you had Lumbridge, right, as one of the main cities where everyone would go, right? Then as the game continues to get built out, that player population shifts, right, to go to the marketplace, it moves across to other cities, and you can see how these other cities start to get more populated. You know, the same type of logic also can be seen in like EVE Online. Like EVE Online, if you go into one of the starting locations, the corporations in EVE Online like have members that are like part of their guild, part of their corporations, part of their guilds, like consistently in the new players, the spawning locations, to be able to recruit people. And the whole goal of them recruiting there is because they want to help like onboard players into the game. They want to help them get from the starting area to like the RuneScape, like the wilderness, or for EVE Online to get to the sector of their corporation's headquarters, right? Like players like coalesce in these different areas, just like we do in the real world. Like there in the physical world, there's like hub cities, like we have rural areas and we have like metropolitan areas where like just inherently players gather. So like the way I see the metaverse is trying to figure out like where are players going to gather, or where are people that are in the metaverse going to gather, right? I think Talmuth could be one of those like I don't know what's going to happen with Lost Relics, but like in the world where Lost Relics does explode and really becomes like a staple in this future metaverse, I could see a world where people talk about like, hey, Friday night, or like if you want to be able to trade, or you want to be able to, if you want to trade anything within the engine metaverse, go to Talmuth, because that's where all the players are in the chat. Even if you want to trade stuff for like Nine Lives Arena or Stormlight or Space Misfits, I could see that world happening, because that's where like the majority of the economy within engine happens, you know. I could see something like, it doesn't mean it's gonna happen. I could see that as a possibility, maybe low possibility, but a possibility. Same thing with Axie. Like Axie could be one of those places where that's where you go for whatever reason. Like, so we'll have to see. We'll have to see how it plays out. Those are some of my basic thoughts. Coco coming in really quick on the chat. Your concern is why Cliff doesn't have a team to help him grow. This game is fast because more people play this game. The more chances to buy it, more pendants, and it's a win-win. Like, yeah, so what you're saying is like more content leads to more players, more players leads to more growth, right? There's advantages and disadvantages of having a team. So what I like is that by Cliff being a solo dev, with this high end of a project, like when you think about all the leading crypto NFT games, they all have teams, and I'm not saying that Cliff is not going to have a team, but Cliff being solo gives him a unique advantage, I think. It makes him unique from the rest of the crowd. And what kind of advantages do you have when you're working by yourself? Well, when major decisions come or happen, there's less time that you need to spend on being able to get everyone within your organization on the same page. It's easier for Cliff to be able to make a split-second decision and decide to like build on it than it would be for someone like a team who has 50 employees. So let's say let's make up a scenario. Let's say ETH 2.0 comes out tomorrow, surprises everybody. Okay. Every single development team around that's working in NFT gaming and crypto gaming, every single team would have an emergency meeting to talk about what does this mean for the future of the game, the future of the players, and the future of their economies. That emergency meeting could come up with a bunch of different solutions. Regardless, if all of those teams make a solution on the same day, a solo dev would be able to make that decision and immediately start to act upon it. A large team of 20, 50, 100 people would have to come up with a plan for the organization to head down, then come up with a plan on how to get everybody on the same page and how to train everyone to accurately be going down the same path, right? And then you have to also be able to check everybody's work to make sure that like someone in UX and UI design is actually doing the thing that the blockchain developers are doing, right? Or with the same strategy, you know? So like, but of course, like the advantages to having more teams is that when everybody's working on with the same goal in mind, you're able to pump out a lot more work. You're able to double check a lot of your work too. Like if there's a major bug and you have a lot of people all working on that same bug at the same time, yeah, like there's benefits both ways. I don't think that we know enough. Like I don't know enough to be able to say to go more in depth on what I think the advantages and disadvantages is going to be. All I really can do is like talk about it from like a top down level. You know, as an accountant, right, I'm working with, you know, upwards of 100, 200, 300 clients a year in all different types of businesses, right? Retail businesses, service businesses, oil and gas, transportation, right? And like every single management team that I work with, every single team has their own unique problems. And I can kind of see how every single team chooses to problem solve in their own different ways. I never know like I never know like I'll never know what it takes to be able to run a gaming studio in an efficient way. But all I know is that like seeing all these hundreds of different possible outcomes on different scenarios gives me the idea of like a team, like what a team's success rate could be. When it comes to crypto, the thing that keeps going back and forth in my mind, and again, guys, I could be wrong. I'm probably wrong. But the thing that keeps coming back in my mind is like everything's changing so fast. Okay. Like looking back 1 year on my streams, I would have never been able to predict, layer 2 solutions coming out and being as competitive as they are, right? So like when we started getting into December of 2020, I started hearing about all these layer 2s and layer 2s coming out specifically to solve problems for crypto gaming. This idea of gas fees and making it cheaper and easier for developers to be able to interact with their communities. We had no clue what was going to happen with layer 2s. We still don't know. But over the course of a year, I was able to see like, okay, who are the competitors in the space? Okay, we had Mantic at the time, which has turned into Polygon. We've had the Ronin network with Axie Infinity. We've had Engine with JumpNet, and we've had a bunch of different layer 2 solutions. ZK rollups. I'm sorry if I'm going a little overboard when it comes to crypto tech for anybody who's brand new to the crypto space, but it's important. You know, over the course of 3-6 months, we got to see all of these different teams roll out their solutions. Some, like Polygon, were more successful in onboarding the idea, bringing the idea to fruition than others, right? Like, it's no, like, there's nothing here. It's obvious to say that Polygon has had much more success than JumpNet has with Engine, right? But every single one of them was a developer team having the same question. All of them said, we have a scaling problem in crypto gaming. How do we solve it? And every single team came up with their own solution. And what's crazy is that all of them pretty much launched their own solutions within 2 months of each other. Like that's what impressed me, is that that's how quickly they were able to build. Now, some of them, again, were more successful than others. But what I noticed is that the teams that were smaller were able to create and innovate faster than the teams that were bigger. That doesn't mean, you know, I don't know if that's going to be the solution going forward, but that's like one example of how a small team can outperform a big team. You know, they always say it when it comes to like, when you're talking about like venture capital, or you're talking about like unicorn businesses that are starting up and like raising millions and millions of dollars. You know, speed is your friend. Speed is what helps you disrupt major businesses. A Walmart, a major corporation cannot innovate and like adapt as fastly as a small organization can. That's how the Ubers of the world can displace like major tech company, major taxi companies. That's how Spotify can displace iTunes. You know, that's how like all the speed of innovation allows you to get ahead of your opponent or get ahead of your competition, and the competition will never be able to catch up. You know, so speed isn't the only way to succeed, but in my opinion, I give a lot of weight to speed. You know, I think each investor will have their own opinions, but I give a lot of weight to speed. So that's me. I'll jump right now. We got a lot of comments here. I went on a good tangent, and I think you guys have some really good opinions. Express Breaks, Coco, both jumping in with their comments. Let me kill these waves really fast. Let me get to a safe spot and we'll read the chat. Don't want to. Yeah, that should be good. Okay, let me jump in really fast. Coco says, oh no, we already read that one. Express Breaks. My only worry is time as well. I fear similar games could outpace Lost Relics and get left in the dust. But I totally understand and respect his position also. Those are some valid points. Thank you. Yeah, you're right. Speed can... you're right. Speed can overcome games, but what kind of, I guess it comes down to like what kind of speed are we talking about, right? There's speed, like you need to understand like what do you mean when you say the definition of speed, and what do I mean when I say the definition of speed, and do you think that speed is beneficial to the game that we're playing? By game, when I say game, I mean, I'm not talking about Lost Relics. I'm talking about like the game of business, like the strategy and the tactics and the ideas about like how to operate a small business and how to be successful, right? The average business dies within its first 2 years. The average business in the world dies within 2 years. Cliff has made it past that 2 year mark for the record. But if we're talking about speed, if we're talking about a sprint, speed means one thing to a sprinter than it does mean to a marathoner, right? Speed means something to a baseball player, and it means something completely different to a soccer player. Okay, it means something like each different area of business and each different area of game development, like each of these different landscapes, battlefields, however you want to look at it, each one of these different areas have their own strengths. Have their own like. Man, I don't know how to put it into. You're gonna have to bear with me here when I say I'm gonna put it into like sports analogy here. So hopefully you can relate. It's the easiest way for me to be able to anticipate. Like a football player is going to be significantly stronger than a baseball player is when it comes to like power, like weightlifting power performance. Okay. But the reason why is because within their field, within their sport, that strength is more highly valued than in baseball. And the same thing applies to development. You know what? I wouldn't be surprised, and I'm not a developer here, but I wouldn't be surprised if that same type of logic doesn't apply to building out mobile games, PC games, console games, browser-based games, or even further, RPGs, first-person shooters. Like every single one of these things needs to have teams that have unique expertise, and speed is one of those expertise. So if we're talking about speed in game development, what comes into my mind is, okay, if the average game is built over the course, if the average indie game is built over the course of 3 to 6 years, which I think is safe to say, right? When I go back and I look at like some of the biggest indie games of the past generation, I think of games like The Witness. I think of games like Braid. I think of games like Celeste. I think of games like, these are some of like the biggest, most popular indie games that have come out of the course of the past 10 years, 15 years, whatever. Every single one of those games, 5 years, 6 years, 8 years to be built out, with an indie game type of production behind it. So if Cliff is in year 3, Cliff is in year 3. The game launched in 2019, so 2019. We're probably like we've ended year 2. We're in year 3 somewhere. So if that's the case, oh man, I shouldn't have used that chalice. I don't think hold on. Where am I? Okay, we're good. I think we're totally fine. So if speed is important to an indie developer, my question is, what does that speed look like in crypto gaming? Okay, what I think that speed looks like in crypto gaming, and I might be completely wrong, but what I think that speed looks like is the ability to understand and adapt to the way that blockchain technology is progressing. You know, like I said, go back 1 year, go back, reflecting back to me streaming 1 year ago. I would have never assumed that a JumpNet would have existed. I would have never assumed Polygon would have existed, or the Ronin network. I had no clue these things were going to happen. Every single one of those teams that were developing, at some point in time, they didn't know those things were going to come into existence either. And they have now used that new technology in the course of 6 months to better improve their games. Who knows? Let me jump back in really quick with you on the chat. Express Break says, that being said, I believe in Cliff, his passion and his skills, and it shows in his work. I'll ride the train wherever it goes. I'm right there with you, man. I'm right there with you. And look, there are also risks, right? Like, God willing, Cliff, you know, stays healthy and stays motivated. And look, we get to certain parts in any type of business that's successful. We get to certain situations where competition realizes what you're able to do. I mean, look, the more Cliff gets on the map, the more likely someone's going to come along and offer him a job, or the more likely someone's going to come in, like, say, like, that they want to be an investor in Lost Relics, like the equity, like they want to buy Codebit Labs or become a partner with Cliff, or like and that all comes down, like, in other words, there's going to be added pressure for any development team, right? The same way that, like, Xbox will come to, like, Xbox develops, like, these, like, the Xbox ID like partnership program with game developers, and at some point in time, if Xbox thinks they're a hit, they go to that team and they say, hey, we want to make a deal to make your game exclusive on Xbox. Like, this is common. This happens everywhere, you know. Who knows what every impression that I've gotten from Cliff is that he has been enjoying developing this game with the feedback of the community. And the more he, you know, if he does decide to add a team or bring on partners or get investment funds, or who knows, whatever the heck he's doing, the more that comes up, you know, the more likely the game's going to continue to change and adapt and evolve into the future. But what I know is, at this point in time, those things are all assumptions. We have no clue if any of them are legitimate, or if they'll happen now or in 10 years or 5 years or 2 years. Who knows what's going to happen? But in the meantime, the one thing that I do believe in is the skill set of Cliff and his abilities. And it's hard for me to not bet on someone that's that talented, you know. It is risky, guys. It's extremely risky. Like, that's the reason why some of these things have have gone up in price, you know. Lost Relics, the future is extremely unknown, not only because of the development features of Lost Relics, because we also don't know what's going to happen with blockchain technology. You know, what if Solana, or what if another layer one, what if, like, the Ethereum team is not successfully able to launch Ethereum 2.0? What happens if developers across all of Ethereum decide to move somewhere else? Like, what does that mean? You know? I don't know, but those are risks that exist when you're playing these type of games. You know, if you're coming in and you're having fun, and you're buying a legendary item or a mythical or a transcendent, well, maybe not a transcendent, but if you're buying an epic, a legendary item, maybe even a mythical item, because you're having fun and you're enjoying your time, like, that's great. Like, that's that's what I think. That's how I think the game will likely be played in the long run. In the short run, I think there's a lot of people that are willing to take chances on where this game could go, and maybe that's some of the reasons why we see some of these high prices. I mean, I don't know. Martian Crypto Gamer, how's it going? How's it going? Yes, brother. Glad that the homie has jumped on in. The man, the myth, the legend. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. You know, I may be, you know, one of the more vocal streamers out there, more, you know, one of the content producers that you all love and enjoy. But you got major respect to all those guys that have been grinding and are at the top of that leaderboard. You know, those guys have put in more hours than I have, more dedication than I have, more time and more thought on some of these ideas that you know. I'm just bringing, like, I'm just trying to bring like what my unique skill set is, right? Like as an accountant, as a you know, as a former professional. Well, I don't know. I mean, I guess you could say professional gamers can still, because of, you know, Lost Relics. You know, I have more at stake with Lost Relics really than I did when I was playing Halo. Of course, I was much younger when I was playing Halo professionally, but yeah, like, I don't know. I think the future is bright, and I'm gonna ride this wave. And I've always been the type, you know, going back, some of these OG players that are at the top of their respective leaderboard, like, a lot of them have been more than willing to be helpful with the community and share their thoughts, share their opinions. And some of them have given out like extremely useful information that might have given them the advantage for months to come when it comes to Lost Relics. And they've given it away for free. You know, I'm sure there's people that are holding some cards like close to the chest, but like, for the most part, this entire community has been helping each other along the way. You know, one of the areas that I think is of importance, you know, that I may have missed had been talked about by like someone like Howling Mad or Nuggle or VGBB or, I mean, D-Ped or Sam Bam, or, I mean, I can name them all, guys. You know, different players have all brought their own unique touch to the game. Like, honestly, go back to Christmas 2020. Who would have ever thought that gold farming for opening Christmas presents, like was done during the Christmas event? Who would have ever thought that would have been the most successful strategy at the time? You know, like, completely changed the game. People, OG players, go into events like with a whole different mindset than they did after Christmas happened, right? And every Loki coming in and like farming out pumpkins and like focusing on going to trail woods at the beginning of his grinding, and then being able to like grind out pumpkins, left and right. Major, every single one of these players have like made a huge impact. And what I'm hoping is that as this game grows out, I really think that the community needs to do a little better job. And I mean, not that we're doing bad, but I just think that the community will benefit if we're able to like somehow keep a record of all of this stuff that's happening, so that in the future people can come back and look at it and be like, yeah, man, like those were the days, or like this was a moment in like LR history that changed the game for whatever reason. Who knows? These are the things that I think about, and they might be crazy, but they are what they are. Let's see. Calix Doom coming in. How much money have I made playing Lost Relics? I don't reveal hard figures like that, but what I can tell you is I've seen multiple players, tens of players, making transactions that were in the uppers, five-figure ranges, $10,000 plus, and that was during 2020 alone. So I'm not. I don't think that that's how the common player should evaluate Lost Relics at all. But have I seen it done? I have. I've seen I've seen players list items on the marketplace, you know, for reference, back in October, November, December 2020, January, February of 2021, 250,000 engine had been traded amongst players. You know, at today's prices, you know, what's engine at? What's engine at? Let me go see. Engine right now is at $1.71. 250,000 engine at $1.71. Of course, that's today's price. That's nearly $500,000. Nearly $500,000 were traded within the Lost Relics. Oh shoot, what did I do? Sorry guys, if that, what the heck? Sorry if that messed up there. Everything should be fine on the screen. Let me know if that is. But like, yes, has there been money made? Yes, there definitely has been. Will there continue to be money made? Maybe it's not going to be to the same degree, or maybe it's going to be bigger. Like maybe we haven't had the Lost Relics blowout yet. I mean, I don't think we've had the Lost Relics blowout yet. One of my streams back in January, like I talked about the idea of like I don't know what's about to happen. Like I specifically said live on stream that I thought that Lost Relics had gotten to the point where the snowball was out of control, and that there's nothing that's going to be able to be done to stop it from growing. That was an informed comment based on what I was seeing at the time, going from 1,000 players to 28,000 players in the course of 2 months, 6 weeks really. But also, that was also a naive comment from not understanding game development and not understanding that when like these major growth events happen within a gaming studio, there's strategies that studios implement to make sure to be able to control that growth, right? Whether it is closing signups or adding a payment method to get into the game or whatever, right? Because while it is healthy for the economy to grow, it's also not healthy to go from a 0 to 100 in a split second. Like that's where something can blow out. You know what I mean? So not understanding game development and not understanding video game economics within the developer's mindset, like I wasn't able to see that, and I'm still not able to see a lot. But like my goal isn't to predict the future. My goal is simply to give you my thoughts and opinions so that you can make your own informed decisions on where you think things are going. I always tell players don't do, hold on. That's definitely not enough. Yeah, this is the run where I missed a chalice, so I have no choice. Normally when I come into this final boss room here, as long as I have like 350 health or better, I can survive. That 350 health is just a cushion. Like if I get hit by a spider web that I'm not predicting, or get poisoned a couple times in a row that I wasn't predicting. Oh shoot, like this scenario specifically right here. Poisoned, I got this huge DPS monster on my ass. Not worth it. Just pop the potions. We'll make the run back to the... Oh, I already finished. Oh, shoot. I already finished the trees, so we'll go switch it up, and we'll be going to Mount Olkep to finish off those wretches. Wretches are in Mount Olkep, right? Yeah, they are. Let me survive this, guys. We'll jump right back into the chat. Is he going to spawn him again? I don't know if he does double spawns. There we go. Okay, pop the chest, cut the tree, and we'll go back to the stash. Okay, so... the giver, the taker of life, the man of the skies, the man of the future. Thank you guys. Thank you guys. You guys are awesome. Yeah, it's true, man. It's true. Oh, and by the way, when I was saying $500,000... wait. That's also not fair. That's not fair because that's at today's prices. You know, when this was happening, engine was like, what? 75 cents? So if we did it again let's do it again at 75 cents. That's almost $200,000 within a month, you know. If you want to go back to when I started playing, when engine was 14 cents, what's that price at 14 cents? Let's say 15 to make it an even number. $37,500 a month, you know. And that $37,500 a month split amongst on average 600 players, 500 players. What's that? Let's divide that by 500. Roughly $75 a month per player. Well, that doesn't sound like a lot right now. Any player that held onto their engine or held onto their NFTs and have them to this day have not only benefited from making $75 in that 1 month alone at the low end. That's the lowest of the low of the low. They have also experienced price appreciation, assuming they haven't sold out, right? Let's see. Yeah, they took a pretty long, even 10 years for indie game development. Yeah, you're right, Angel. Completely right. I'm not the oldest of the oldest, guys. Just know that. There was guys that came way before me. And there are guys that will come. You know what I've started to notice, I'm going to give you this is what I've seen. This is how I've acted. This is my strategy on how I've been playing in the past. And now this strategy's pretty much, I don't think there's a common saying, like going back to my free for all days in Halo. Like there's a common idea here. The strategy to take the hill is not the same strategy to keep the hill. In other words, like when I was playing free for all or when I was coaching too, I would tell them, look, getting the lead, free for all for Halo, for those of you who don't know, every man for themselves, 8 players on midship, top 4 advance. The idea, hold on. The idea here was that to be able to win one of those games, you need to be able to make changes as the game progresses. And that was just like a 30-minute game, a 30-minute free-for-all. But the same thing applies to Lost Relics. Like the strategies that were employed in the beginning of the game are not going to be the same successful strategies that get employed later on in the game. Like, for example, when I started playing, I was all about the idea of getting your production skills up, because I thought that production skills, and I still do. I still think that production skills are going to be extremely, extremely important. But I thought, hey, I wanted to be one of the main producers in the game, because the producers are going to be the ones that circulate gold within the economy. That's what was my original thought was. That logic, if I had to go back and play again from the beginning, I wouldn't have taken that strategy. I would have done the howling mads and the Loki method, which was, focus on your farming. Back then when I was playing, focus on gathering skills. Back then when I was playing, well, see, I don't know. I don't know. All I know is that because they chose that strategy, they were able to farm out a lot of these gathering blockchain items that I missed out on. Now, then again, you can make the opposite side of that argument, because they were running Trial Woods a lot, and Trial Woods allowed them those benefits. They got 3 skills up as opposed to my 1, because I was running Mount Olkep. But on the flip side, you can make an argument for specializing in 1 skill, and because then you're leading in one particular area, rather than being a jack of all trades, you're a master of and a master of none. You decide to specialize, right? I don't know what the right strategy was, but what I do know is that that was an extremely profitable decision that they made in the very beginning. Whether or not they were forced to go down that path for one reason or another, it was a very thoughtful and a very good method to put into use. I forgot what the question was. But my point is that so going back to the idea is that strategy, maybe the strategy of going for production in the beginning was wrong. Maybe I should have focused on gathering, right? Now what I've realized as this game progresses, as more time passes, the game is no longer about climbing the leaderboards from. There used to be a very, very clear advantage if you were the only person that was able to make, the reinforced steel axe. If you're the only person that could make this axe, you were selling it for a premium, right? But now with some more players coming on board and leveling up, now it's more about the idea, I think, of when the off season comes, when player counts come down, because it's a cycle, guys. It's going to continue to happen. when player counts drop, that's the time when XP is at a premium, because for every 1 XP you gain, you're gaining 1 step ahead of your opponent, or not, maybe not opponent, it's a step ahead of the competition. When everyone's playing at the same time, if someone's playing 5 hours, you have to play 6 hours to get a 1 hour lead, right? When nobody's playing, you can play 1 hour and still get that 1 hour lead. So your time invested into the game is a premium, you know, but it comes at a cost. It comes at a sacrifice. The sacrifice is if there's less players playing, that probably means there's less activity in the markets. That probably means NFTs are coming down in value, you know, but you're getting a different advantage. You know, who knows? I really need to read your chats. Let me catch up really quick. Let's do a lightning round really fast. Rogue One, Hope, Inception, Hope, Motivation, Peace. Love it, bro. Saturday's going good, brother. Saturday's going good. I'm glad you're able to jump on in. Let's see. Gail Andrews jumping in with the question: Would be good if Lost Relics goes to an already cheaper chain like Solana, Polygon, or even maybe an unknown cheaper chain such as, I don't know, Cardia chain. I don't know that chain. Cross chain would be a great feature for sure. I think the argument here, right, is that if it takes a developer 2 years to get a game on one specific chain up and running, does that mean by going to a new chain, you have to sacrifice 2 years of building to be able to make it happen all over again? And if you're going to sacrifice 2 years, is that worth it? Like from a budget perspective, like if you're operating a small business and you have like, if I were to tell one of my businesses, like, hey, now, if I was to provide consulting for one of my clients, and I told them, hey, maybe the right idea right now is to pivot. Like, the first question any manager would ask me is like, okay, well, if I pivot and I take 2 years to build out this new product, like, where's my money gonna come from? Like, how am I gonna support, how am I gonna support development of that new product over 2 years with zero revenue? So that's hard. Maybe the answer is get a loan. But if you get a loan, like now you're promising, not only are you using that money now, you're also promising that whatever you build is going to be successful to be able to repay that loan, right? So it's a hard one, man. It's a real hard one. If Cliff does not hire someone, this game has no future. I disagree. I disagree hardly on that statement. I think if developers, single man developer teams were able to like build and create indie games that have onboarded tens of millions of players in the past, like it's completely possible. And what you're pretty much saying is that what that comes down to is whether or not you think Cliff has the ability or has the skills to be able to pull that off. And that's where a market is made, right? If you disagree with that statement and I agree with that statement, that's where we get into a scenario where you're wanting to sell your NFTs and I'm wanting to buy your NFTs. And then whoever is more accurate in those assumptions is the one who's going to be the benefit of that price appreciation. So, you know, I understand your opinion. You know, I have a different opinion, and I guess we'll have to see what plays out going into the future. Let's say Mintash Bro says, do you have any ideas on what new game modes are going to be coming up in the new update? I don't know about what new game modes are going to happen, but from what Cliff has mentioned in other podcasts and other interviews that I've done with him, he's talked about, well, we know Forging's coming. He's talked about, I think it was in January, right before the Easter event, he had said that he had a playable demo or a playable scenario of Arena. And he also mentioned that he had some small playable multiplayer thing. Just because it's playable doesn't mean it's ready for launch, guys. Playable means that, like, I think what playable means is that, like, he's got a test system up that proves that it could work, and he's going to build it out going into the future. So, you know, he's talked about bosses who are almost ready to be launched before the Chaos Unleashed patch that was in July or the beginning of July, end of June. So maybe bosses are going to come. Maybe that's what Arena is. Maybe Arena is going to launch and at the end of your wave, a boss comes, or I don't know. Maybe I doubt this, but Maybe there's a 1% chance that like a co-op mode would come out where 2 players enter into a wave-based survival. You know, maybe, I don't know. This is all high speculation, and I think we all need to understand that Cliff has built, like when he launches a new patch, he has some stuff that he's built out that's not ready to go into that patch, and he just puts it on the back burner. And maybe he's built something out that sounds good on paper but actually doesn't work in the game. Like maybe it's not fun. Maybe it sounds like a good idea, but when you actually play it, it doesn't make any sense. And maybe he spent months building something out and he has to scrap the idea. Or maybe something happens with the economy that says like, I can't, like, what happens if he like, we all keep talking about the warden keys, right? Like what happens if the warden keys, what happens if he had an idea about the warden keys, but now he can't use that because like the prices in the market have gone up too expensive where only a handful of players with a lot of gold will be able to ever benefit from that feature. So maybe it's no longer worth it. I mean, I don't know. Or maybe the opposite. Maybe a very like highly valuable item is being sold like way too low. Maybe all of these like Ogun claws are going to be like the key to something new, but like was only ever intended for a handful of players to be able to get into because of XYZ reasons for the economy. But now maybe it's all spread out. Or maybe an item was accidentally dropping that Cliff never intended to be dropped, or who knows? You know what I mean? Like these are all the things that I'm sure Cliff has to think about and game plan out. And I'm more than positive, guys, that we have more ideas than Cliff does, because the players are so like, the players have invested X hundreds of hours, thousands of hours into the game, while Cliff has like spent X hundreds of hours into the theory of the game, right? I think what happens is Cliff has a theory about what his patch could lead to, and then lets the players invest thousands and thousands of hours into what those ideas would be. And then based on whatever the players do, this is where we come back to the idea that like, I think players have way more power than developers do, than developers used to have. And I think that as blockchain gaming gets built out, the power that gamers have, I think, is going to play out over time. I don't know what that means. I don't know what it can mean. But what I do know is that if I'm right, and if players have way more power than what I think the community is giving them credit for, then that means that, I mean, it's the same old logic, right? It's the Spider-Man quote, with great power comes great responsibility. If we do have this much power in this economy, then responsibility falls on the players to help build this out. Okay? I honestly think that as these games grow, players and investors will switch their mindset from thinking about what can this game developer or development team provide to me, and instead say, what can I provide to this economy? Because if we're really, look guys, if play to earn is really going to be a thing, if it really is going to happen, like, and I'm not talking about like this, like, I'm not talking about farming SLP or farming Shadow Stones. I'm talking about the idea of like players making a living inside a digital world. If you're going to be participating in a digital world just like you are in the physical world, you're going to need to be able to provide a good or a service that nobody else can. In the meantime, while these games get built out, like, this is artificially happening. This is artificially happening because Cliff is giving us jobs. He's giving us producer skills and gatherer skills to be able to like facilitate that economy. You by choosing to level up one skill, you are choosing to participate in this economy by these like makeshift game mechanic ideas to be able to provide value back in. By being a level 33 engineer, I am one of the few players in the game that can craft divine gloves. And if I'm one of the few players that can do that, I can provide that service and in return I get paid, or I make an earnings. I make gold. For right now, as the game gets built out, there's really the way that you turn gold into value, into crypto value is there's 100 different ways. Some players use that gold. I think this is the reason why nests are so valuable. Players are using the gold they earn to farm blockchain items. Those blockchain items they can then convert into engine they can convert into dollars, and then boom, that's how you make your goal. That's how you make your living in the short run. And it's not a living right now, we're not there yet, but that's how you're able to extract value, or earn value, not extract. That's how you're able to earn value. These systems are brand new, and they're going to become more complex and be built out. But that's a system that the developer initiated. What happens, like, in order for play to earn to be a real thing, gamers and player investors are going to need to bring in their own models into making a living within this game. We could do this by vertical integration or horizontal integration. Like the idea of vertical integration within business is this idea that gamers, like, if you're Amazon and you're selling books to people across the world, vertical integration is, okay, you go up and down the supply chain. Instead of Amazon having to pay FedEx to ship their books or ship their products all around the world, Amazon says, you know what? Instead of us paying someone else to do that, we're going to vertically innovate, and we're going to create our own transportation company to provide that service. We're going to go up the supply chain to provide a service that our competitor was previously providing, so that we can keep that profit within the system. That's vertical integration. Horizontal integration is where you expand across different segments to grow. So this can be something like Amazon saying, "Hey, we're selling digital books all across the world and shipping them out. You know what? Now let's expand our products. Let's expand to groceries. Let's go to groceries. Let's purchase something like Whole Foods, which isn't in our current model, but we'll expand horizontally to provide different areas of services and products. Now we're going to sell books and groceries, and be able to diversify, right? So that if that logic applies to players, you could say vertical integration would be like, hey, I decide I'm gonna focus on getting my cooking skill up, because now I want to be able to sell these things that cooking provides, right? Horizontal could be something along the lines of like, hey, I'm going to start a Lost Relics coaching service where players will pay coaches to be able to provide them valuable feedback on how to level up, or whatever. If we're talking about a skill-based game like Dota, or a first-person shooter like Halo, it would be like, hey, I'm going to help you. I'm going to provide you with the coaching you need to be able to take it to the next level, to be able to improve your skills on a fundamental level, and whatever across the board. Like, when those types of services start happening, or what happens if someone comes out with a service that says, like, I'm going to give predictions on what these NFT items within Lost Relics are worth every single month. There will be a new update that will give my predictions on what these items are worth, and it will be published or released in a podcast that if you pay a subscription model, you get access to that information. Like, when that starts happening, that's when the economy takes it to the next level. Going back to a year ago, if you go back and watch my old VODs from a year ago, I was talking about the ideas of like, what happens when players start flipping. In the beginning, I was saying, look, players are buying their items to improve their loadouts to farm more dungeons. What happens when a whole new group of players come in and they're buying just to flip? They buy a legendary item for 50 engine, they flip it at 75 engine, they make the profit. What happens when those players come? And that happened. That happened in Christmas. That happened in Easter. Like those players started coming, and that brought a whole new economy into Lost Relics. And there's no way for me to know whether or not Lost Relics is the reason why Engine Coin has pumped. But I'll tell you one thing: if Lost Relics is the #1 game in Engine and is responsible for circulating $500,000 a month at one point in time of Engine amongst players, then I have to believe that it's one of the main reasons why Engine Coin was pumping, right? The development of the Lost Relics economy amongst players is going to lead to that, I think. I mean, I have no evidence for this. This is all like I'm just looking. I'm interpreting the decisions that players are making and what the importance of those decisions can mean. And I'm looking at the blockchain. I'm looking at Nginx. I'm looking at the Shadowstone markets to give my assumptions what I think is happening and trying to put a narrative behind it. Are my narratives right? No, they're not right. Everything that I'm saying right now, guys, like, I'm not right. I'm not correct. But I'm not trying to be correct. I'm trying to come up with an idea of what the trend of this growth of this economy will be. And in creating a trend, it's easier to, like, if I have an idea of what I think the trend is, then when something major happens, like a transcendent item, what happens if a transcendent item start dropping? Or what happens if a mythical item starts being able to be farmed? Or what happens if the player base of Lost Relics jumps to 50,000 players? Like, if you have an idea of what the trend will be and you really do want to stay in this space for the long term like I am, then it's easier for you to make an assumption. And you know, when you see something like Spellbinding Powder jump from 100, because this happened 3 months ago. Spellbinding Powder jumped from 100 gold to 1,250 gold in the course of like 2 weeks. Like, when that stuff happens, you can make a decision like, hey, all of a sudden the spellbinding powder I have now means I can buy a mythical Stonebreaker. I can now sell all of that to buy one of these. Or if you have an idea of what you think could happen, that's where you can make a decision in terms of like, this is how I want to play the game at like the higher end level. Right? And be ready to be wrong, because we're all wrong. You know, we're all wrong. Like, I thought one of my main predictions, what's a prediction? What's a major prediction I was completely wrong on? I was completely wrong on the idea that resource blockchain items were going to... Oh, no, I got one. The one that I was really wrong on is I thought that by Shadowstones... Okay, my first thought was that when Cliff input the new Shadowstone economy, I knew that he had mentioned from moment one, he had mentioned that you weren't going to be able to withdraw. So what I was thinking was that, okay, look, what's going to happen is that Shadowstones were going to be brought into the market. They were going to circulate amongst all the players. And because they couldn't be withdrawn, the players that were getting their hands on more and more Shadowstones was going to lead to price appreciation of resource items within Lost Relics. Because if you have Shadowstones that are just sitting there that you can't use, every single time you log in, you're going to be tempted to spend them. And if you're tempted to spend them and they can't be taken out of the economy, then that means NFT items are going to go up in value. So I thought that was going to happen with resource items, but that's not what happened. What happened was that players did have that logic. They did spend their Shadowstones, and I would bet there's a very few portion of players that are holding their Shadowstones right now. Maybe 5% of them have accumulated and held. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe that's another assumption I'm wrong in. But what I think what ended up happening is that players said, no, if I can spend my Shadowstones now on these resources, I'm not going to hold these resources to wait for price appreciation in Shadowstones. I'm going to use them right now for gold, to farm gold, and the gold market exploded. You know, that's what I wasn't anticipating. But when I saw the gold market explode, I was able to say like, oh, that's what's happening. Okay. And then we had a blow off top within the Shadowstone market because a Zilborn got sold, a Ruby Egg got sold, a multiple dividing supremacies got sold. A lot of mythical items got sold. And maybe that was the moment where like all the money, all the Shadow Stones got spread out to everybody, and now everybody's like sitting tight. Players started to shift to Axie, or to Gods Unchained, or to Splinterlands, and now that's where we stand right now. Maybe that's what's happening. I don't know. And I'm never gonna know. But these are just some of my ideas, like I said, to give you guys a little bit of thoughts. Let's catch up with the chat real fast. Let's go. You know what? Well, yeah, we'll stay right here. Just play all the time. Problem solved. I mean, you're not wrong. Hey, Striker. Dr. Loot jumping in the chat. Hey, Dr. Loot, thank you so much. Dude, you do some massive work as a moderator within the community. Major respect for that. Major respect. Thought you'd stop by and subscribe. Oh, you did sub. Oh, you subbed an hour ago, dude. Wow. I must not be getting the notifications. Well, thank you so much, my friend. Thank you so much for the sub. I am definitely looking forward to the next update. We will see what happens. Raslin 620 come in. I think the grinding helps the most during events. Events seem to be very big, and you can gain competitively. You can gain on competition greatly if you prepare for them correctly. Grinding with levels now helps you in those. Right. I agree with you. My question is, what's more important to grind before the event? Gold or XP? And I bet you that answer is going to be different for every player, right? I don't know. I think Cliff, again, continuing, I think Cliff basically said that in his interview, the vision had and how players thought of the game and played the game. He had to change it because of the vision he was trying to build out. Yes, he did say that. But it's all a matter of perspective and time. Because, and with all due respect to Cliff, like he's in, you guys know what I think about Cliff. To be fair, his vision of Lost Relics changed, and he's implementing that change now. But that change occurred because of something players did or started doing or started thinking about 6 months ago, 3 months ago. What are the things he's going to change in 3-6 months into the future that are based on what players are thinking right now? That's what I'm trying to predict out. Red rock dye to the moon. That's another one. Like, yeah, boy, farming all the red rock dye. That was a good one, dude. Like, that's another good one. And yes, red rock moon to the dye. Red rock moon to the dye. Red rock dye to the moon is a little bit better. That's what I did with the green rock dyes. You mine 75 of them? Yep, there we go. You sold them, you got better weapons. Yeah. See, that's really important. Dude. Okay, remind me, guys. Please remind me to go look at the blockchain economy. I want to walk you guys through what I've been thinking. Derry's jumping on in. What's going on, Derry? Thank you so much, bro. You have an amazing stream and amazing... I fully enjoy watching you stream. I don't get to check you out live all the time, but know that I'm in the VODs, bro. Know that I'm in the VODs. 100%. We need more weapon effects. Yeah, that's another good one. Cliff did... The last patch came with new weapon effects for old items. Is it going to happen again? Maybe. There's a ton of mythical trans items without effects. Yep, very good point. You have about 15k, and you basically started at 0. So you have 15k Shadow Stones? 15k Shadow Stones, so that's 150 engine at $1.50. That's what, $225 when you started? Very, very good. Adrenaline Rush with the follow. Thank you so much, my friend. Welcome to the strike team. Let's see. Do you expect to increase common tools with the durability system? Good one. So I've been farming up engineering. And if you look here, I have 1,000 pickaxes, 550 nets, 4,800 gloves, 1,000 hatchets. Do I think that these items are going to go up in value? Yes. I think it's going to take a long time before they do. Because if I have 5,000, how much do all the other miners and the other producers have that have been holding on to them? And it's going to take a long time, I think, before they start growing up. On top of that, they're level 1 items. This is the thing that I think would help the gold economy better. I think these items need to move up to like level 3 or level 5. Because if Cliff is going to make them durable, like what's going to stop someone? Why would someone go buy them when they can just make it at level 1 immediately? Why would someone need to buy it? So by making them durable, I think the idea Cliff thought was that they're going to be wanted more by players, which means they're going to sell in the market. But they're not going to sell in the market, I think, if people... maybe I'm wrong. Maybe that's the assumption of... That might be the assumption. But if the idea is to circulate gold, maybe these need to go to like level 3 or level 5, something basic. I don't know. Yeah. Rothide, exactly. You took 10% of the supply just to be safe. Smart move. Yeah, boy. I did go in there. Like when I was purchasing resources that I came in a couple of while, when the engine market came out and the very first thing I purchased was resources. Like my logic was, what the hell? Hold on. Something just happened. What just happened? Okay, we're good. My logic was, I tried to like build out, I tried to like buy exponentially. Like I didn't want to buy anything in particular because I have no clue what the hell is going to go up or down. So my thought was like, okay, for uncommon items, make sure to have at least 100 items. And then so uncommon, 100 of each. And then go to rare. And from rare, let's scale that down. I wanted to have 50 of each rare. Okay. And then from rare to epic, I wanted to have 25 of each epic. And then obviously you run out of money at that point. Like I had, based on what I put in, there's no way to accomplish that. And plus the items weren't all available. So like when you say that you took over 10% of the supply, maybe like that's a good, like you strategically tried to pick an area that you thought you could have an impact on. And that might've been a smart move. I decided to do the opposite, which was rather than try to pick an item, just invest in the entire group as like a basket to see what happens overall. So that's why I did it like layered. Obviously if I had waited, I would have even been able to accumulate more. But I can't complain. If I had to go back and do it again, I would do it again for sure. Cause you'll never be able to predict the bottom. Let's see. But 5 gold for gloves is a joke. Yeah, I mean, yeah, you're right. Like I see where you're coming from. It's all in, baby. Either you win or you lose. Hey, your logic. Your logic. It is what it is, man. Like I go back to the baseball mentality, and like sometimes when you're in the middle of a battle against a pitcher, sometimes you just have to, sometimes you just got to go all in, and sometimes like I have to predict like. I know I'm talking baseball here, guys, but granted, so many years of playing baseball, and, even at the college level, like it's just the way my mind thinks. Like at some point in time, maybe you have your back up against the wall, or maybe you actually have an advantage and you want to take it. You want to take advantage of it. Sometimes you have to go all in, and sometimes you have to make that move. Where I made that move when it comes to crypto gaming is I went all in with Lost Relics. So, I had multiple opportunities to buy Axie, and maybe I screwed up there. I had multiple opportunities to buy more Splinterlands than what I have, and maybe I missed that boat, or whatnot. But like that was my all in. If you get where I'm coming from, you don't need to call it logic. It's just for the memes. Yes, you're right. But also like when Dogecoin is going up because of a memes, because the idea of memes like. Isn't the idea of memes also logic? I don't know. I don't know. Misty opals and green evergreen onyxes. That's not bad. I thought about those two for sure. Baseball talk for sure. Astro ore. I picked up one of the NFT creator organizations that is like partnering with Major League Baseball. It's called Candy. They're backed by Galaxy Digital, which with if any of you follow crypto more in depth, like that's with Galaxy Digital is headed by Mike Novogratz, who is like one of like premier crypto investors in the space, and he started up this project with Candy, and their first round of NFTs, their first like team-based NFTs are NFTs of like every single team's stadiums. So I purchased my first Minute Maid Park Stadium NFT for the Houston Astros just like a week ago. So it was a good one. Soul 1G jumping in with the raid. Thank you so much, my friend. everybody that's jumping on in, welcome to the strike team. Hey guys, while you're here, you know, I hope you enjoyed. If you just came into the stream, we had a pretty good discussion on a bunch of different opinions on what's going to happen with the Lost Relics economy and player base, everyone making their decisions, how they're all going to play out, what it's all going to mean. We've given our opinions. Feel free to check out the VOD. You can find the VOD for sure on Twitch, like we're streaming now. On YouTube, you need to search for, or on Twitch, I'm Striker LR. On Twitch, I'm Strike Team Games. And also you can jump on my Facebook is also Strike Team Games, and on Twitter, I'm F Munoz CPA. I'm going to put it there in the chat so you all can visually see it really quick. You know, if you're on Twitter, that's where I like to share a lot of my, whenever I see something really interesting that I think could be important to either like crypto gaming or crypto in general, I post it there. If you're ever wanting to have like an in-depth discussion, those are definitely things I think about talking about when I'm going to have a new stream. So if you want to interact with me on Twitter, that's one of the best places to do it. You know, Twitch and, Discord and Telegram, you can find me everywhere. So Zorko9, welcome to the strike team. Thank you so much for the follow. Let's see, yeah, boy, jumping on. It was so much fun grabbing the old items in the beginning when people sold uncommon items for 10 to 18 Shadow Stones, knowing that these items back in the day cost 0.01 engine. Yeah, I mean, see, that's another advantage, right? Yeah, boy, that OG players have, right? Like, because we've seen how this market is playing out, it's much easier to, like, when a new player comes on board and makes an assumption, a lot of the times those new players are making assumptions that we've heard 3 or 4 times in the past by like 3 or 4 other players, and we know how they play now. But what's exciting me for this next round, you know, like how I was predicting that the Lost Relics economy was going to grow because of flippers coming on in. That's happened now, and that will continue to happen. I don't think that's going away anytime soon. These flippers, like, it's just inherently part of it now. Blueberry Dogs. Number 2, welcome to the strike team, baby. Thank you so much for the follow. Thank you. That was my prediction. My new prediction for the overall economy that I think will play out over the next 3 to 6 months is I now think that once Christmas, this new update, Halloween and Christmas roll out, and don't just count, like, I think there might be a chance the later we progress into September, the more I'm starting to think that this new patch might be a combination of these new features and Halloween at the same time. I think that might be possible. I don't know. But I think the new prediction that I'm starting to think about a lot in the back of my mind is I think we're going to get a new round of the way we got player and flippers. I think we're now going to get investors coming into the game in the next 3 to 6 months that are not going to be players. I think there's going to be a group, or and I don't know if it's going to be a group like Delphi Digital or a group like YGG, Heel Gill Games, or another group that's wanting to make its like impact on crypto gaming. If what happens to Lost Relics happens the way I think it is, I think we might see a world where one day, and this is what I've talked about with players in the past. You know, I've told people that like a lot of different flippers that I call them flippers, but flippers because like inherently that's how they try to make value, is they buy, they sell, they buy, they sell, they buy, they sell over and over and over. I had said for the people that were like playing like heavily in the mythical tier, I had been saying like, be careful because one of these days, like a mythic could go from 1,000 engine to 10,000 engine overnight. And the reason why I had been thinking about that was because, and I don't know when it'll happen, but the reason why I was thinking about that was because I know sooner or later if Lost Relic hits, these investors are going to come in that their sole purpose is to hold the NFT, not even to play the game. And when that day happens, if it happens, the dynamics of Lost Relics will change forever, in my opinion. I don't know what that'll mean if it happens for players. I think there will be, my guess has been, and one of the reasons why I've been grinding so hard to climb the leaderboards over this off season has been because if that day happens, I think that will mean that player levels and leveling within the game might become as important, if not more important, than the NFT alone, because I think the way that the in-game utilities are going to be built out into the future might be completely based on like player level. Like if we get into a world, what if a dungeon is like limited not only based on weapons but also limited to combat skill, or what if I don't know, what if like I think Cliff is going to want to reward we know that NFTs are extremely expensive to mint. And as the game grows, that means it's going to become Cliff's going to have to mint more and more and more, which is going to be a bigger and bigger cost. And if it's a bigger and bigger cost, at some point in time, I think he's going to think of different ways to reward players that are not NFT based. And I think that probably will be. I think the thing he's going to probably reward is time, because like NFTs are reward. Like right now, the way you're getting rewarded is by finding a drop, which is based on time, right? The more you play, the more likely you are to get a drop. But like, what happens when that time is like directly, like value is added directly to it, if it ever is? This is like hardcore speculation, guys. Hardcore speculation. Because I don't know. Like, I'm just thinking about a world where like, if major investors come in and buy up all the transcendents that are on the market, or buy up all the legendaries that are on the market, like if that world happens, you know, we live in a world now where like YGG is able to raise like multiple millions of dollars over the course of one fundraising round. Delphi Digital is able to raise multi-millions. If these players are coming into the space, like they're going to come in and dominate the market easily, and they're going to do it overnight. It's going to happen. It's going to happen in the middle of the night when no one's paying attention, and it's going to be big when it happens. And if it happens, I'm trying to think of like, what does that mean for the player? You know, obviously players are going to be rewarded, because if that happens, like everyone's NFTs will go up. But like, how much dominance will they have in the market? Will they have a dominance in the market? If they have a dominance in the market, is the way to combat that dominance by providing more value to XP level players that are actually in the game? I don't know. I'm just thinking 1, 2, 5, 10 years out. Who knows? Speculating. Complete speculation. I say this, guys, because I know, like, I just don't want you guys, again, the purpose is not, this is not financial advice. This is not tax advice or as well. I only give out I can only give tax or financial advice to clients of the CPA firm. No one in the chat right now is a client of the CPA firm. So this is just complete speculation, opinion, so that you guys can, like, I want you guys to, like, contradict me, because I know I'm not right. Like, I want people to say, like, Striker, you're wrong because X, Y, and Z, because that dialogue is super, super important. Not only for me, but for the rest of the community, I think. I mean, I think about the idea of, like, if a major player comes into the game, buys up all these items, like, I think about, like, what will that mean? What will that mean for the players of Lost Relics? Like, is there going to be a world where players of Lost Relics unite, like, for whatever common purpose? Like, or will there be a world where we go into a world where, like, everyone will decide to be like, no, I don't subscribe to any guild or any group. I'm a solo player. Like, what kind of world are we going to go into? I don't know. Will guilds even become a thing in Lost Relics? You know, I think it might be. I think they might. And what does that mean? You know, what happens if there becomes a mining guild? You know, what happens if there's a wood cutting guild, or what happens if there's just a player guild? Like, I don't know. Really, what happens when players organize. You know, I'm a firm believer in cooperation rather than rather than competitiveness, because I think I don't think anyone knows what the future holds, and I think there's safety in numbers. But I know I'm not the only one that thinks that way. So we'll have to see, you guys. I don't know. You guys think I'm crazy now. I'm definitely going off the deep end, am I right? I'm going way overboard. I know. But these are some of the things that I like to think about what the future could hold. I mean, and quoting the movie The Big Short, when someone's wrong, you never know why. You never know how you're wrong. You just are wrong, And yeah, that worries me, but also whatever, man. Regardless of what happens, Lost Relics could crash tomorrow and just be completely over with, and it'll go down in my personal in my personal life as one of the top games that changed my life. Is what it is. Going back through history, started those major games on my books: Zelda Ocarina of Time, Halo 2, Celeste, and now Lost Relics. Every single one of those games touched me for a personal reason. I'm sure you guys have your own ideas too, but I don't know. I just think I don't know what I think. I just see so many opportunities that Lost Relics has that has nothing to do with Lost Relics. It has nothing to do with Cliff or the players. Everybody right now is talking about crypto being the way to onboard new players into the crypto eco space. Everyone's talking about hedge funds investing in NFTs. Everyone's talking about the play to earn journey. All of these things are coming together. And Lost Relics has a part to play, I think. I need some raw meat. I forgot why I was going to come to the shop really quick. Can someone remind me? I came over here for a reason and I don't remember. I don't remember what it was. Let's turn this in and catch up on chat real quick. How would they get the NFT if they're not playing? They would get the NFT by buying it off of other players. They would go to the engine marketplace and buy up everything. Eric thinks about the idea. He worries about the idea of someone buying an item and not using it in the game. I mean, yeah, that is sad, but I think at the end of the day, I don't think it's going to be a negative thing. I think it's going to be positive. The same way someone buys a piece of real estate and they just hold it, There's a piece of property that I've been looking at for the past few years that someone bought, and I was I would love to have bought that. It's the perfect property, and to live on, to build a house on, right, and live on. But someone bought it years ago and they're doing nothing with it. It's just sitting there. It's been sitting there with a sold sign, letting the grass overgrow. And is that sad? Yeah, that's sad. But also that's just not the world we live in, right? For me, I would want to buy, if I were going to do something like that, I want to buy and build, rent it or build a business or provide back to the economy or help people. What am I doing? Where are my requirements? I would assume that if someone is buying NFTs and holding them, it's for a purpose. And I don't think the purpose is going to only be price appreciation. I mean, this is also the assumption. That's also the assumption that gamers, that I guess when I say something like that, I guess I'm also thinking that gamers are not going to have a lot of power in this in this future world, and maybe it's the exact opposite. Maybe the players are the ones that gobble all these up, and no one will be able to come in and buy them all. Like, maybe that's what happens. I don't know. Okay, we're going back to Braun Woods. Let's see. Woodlands. Let's see, a possible burn mechanic. Hold on, I lost my place. Where were we? Where were we? Possible burn mechanic for weapons instead of only resources would be nice. I think that's a hard one, man. I'll tell you why right now. That's why I went to the block. That's why I went to the marketplace. Let's go look at that. Let me change this and we'll check this out real quick. Let's open this. Let's open this chest. Demon cloth. Damn. Oh well. Where am I going? Yeah, I'm going Braun. You guys got me thinking so hard about what the future is. Like I'm just, my mind is somewhere else. I'll come back to your questions right now, guys. I'll come right back. Okay. Let's see. We'll come back to the burn idea for weapons. Blockchain items are still going to drop. Why does it do that? It always scrolls backwards through my chat. Today you found 2 nests in the same run. Nice. That's a lot of gold right there, baby. Why does it keep doing that? My chat keeps screwing up, guys. This is not tax advice, Laundry. Crypto for tax purposes is kind of touchy. I like that you're speculating on it. I'd like to see a write-up from the Big Four. Actually, you know what? I heard the other day. I heard that Ernst & Young. So for anybody that's not familiar, the Big Four is a one of the largest, the top 4 large accounting firms in the world. Like they're the ones that are responsible for like all these major audits, all of the amount of power that resides within the Big Four is like some of the biggest power in the whole world. Like accountants. Let me put it this way. The Big Four accounting for are larger than any other major law firm in the entire world. The Big Four accounting firms are larger than the largest of the largest law firms. That's how big they are. That's how much power they have. That would suck because it needs to be fair for every player, no matter what the skill level is. Yeah, but I mean, you're right. But what's the definition of fair? You know, if we're building out a real world economy, then the same logic we use in the physical world for what is fair and why people get paid what they get paid is going to be the same logic for what people get paid in the digital economy. No, and yeah, it comes down to what the definition of fair is. You know, maybe I don't know. Maybe we're going to go into a world where like Lost Relics turns into a game that the players hold governance and the players are able to like vote. But even in that world, like if there's a token that ever launches that gives players the ability to make these choices, what's going to stop, you know, Binance or Coinbase or some major player for coming in and buying all of that and then having the ability to vote to whatever they agree on? It's really, really hard. I don't know what the answers are. Maybe because there's only 300 or 400 players that are playing and that's why there's less demand. Maybe. Oh, I get it. Because you're saying that prices came down from 6K to 9K. Maybe. I mean, another reason could be that the major players have I mean, I don't know. Is it a coincidence that the prices of nests dropped after? Is it a coincidence that the prices of nests dropped after we had the gold sync raffle? Did a lot of major people that were buying nets put their gold into that raffle and now have less gold to spend, which drops the price? That's something I would think about. If you have a pack of Sky Spires or Silent Songs in your stash, sell me one of them for 5,000 Shadow Stones. So blockchain items right now are off limits. I'm in super hold mode right now until the next patch. I don't like to sell this close. I don't like to sell or buy. Maybe buy, but I definitely don't like to sell right before a big release because things can change, and I'd rather hold on to something to see what that changes and then make an educated decision. There kind of is with weapons needed for bounties. Yeah, like you are turning in weapons for bounties, so they are getting recycled. You're right. Good point. Got a lot of multiple weapons. Sell those, man. I have some ideas for the future use of a lot of these blockchain items, so we're gonna have to see how it all plays out. How much engine do you think JumpNet items will be backed by? Ooh, that's a hard one. The more engine gets built out, the more NFTs get built out on engine, the more you would assume that the engine backing each item would go down, right? Because the more that engine gets locked into NFTs, the less there are for engine on the market, which means the more engine appreciates in price, which means the more it costs to make NFTs, which means the less you're going to put in each individual NFT. Can that cycle work backwards? I guess it could also work backwards. Yeah, it could work backwards. The more that engine goes up in price, the more that a player might want to melt. The more the player wants to melt, the more engine goes on the market. The more engine goes on the market, the more the price drops. So I guess it comes down to like, it all comes back to like individual players' decisions. Getting back to grinding, choose your own ventures. What? Let's see. Yeah, maybe you're right. Maybe more people can scavenge nests. Maybe that's the reason. You know, when it comes to, I forgot. You guys throw such good questions that you get my mind going 100 different ways, and I completely forget why I came back here. Came back to here to look at something. Was it resource? Was it a resource? I forgot again, guys. I'm sorry. Completely forgot why I'm here. Completely forgot why I came to the Blockchain Emporium. Oh well. It is what it is. Okay, guys, let me see. Oh, you guys are awesome. There we go. You think the player base is very diverse. There's players like me that don't care about the blockchain, but the utility of the game. Then there's collectors. Yeah. And how do players, collectors, and competitors, like, how do they all interact? Like, that's the economy, right? How do they all interact? Look, I'm a nerd, guys. Like, this is the part. Like, these types of economics is what interests me. And that's why, you know, when I come back and I try to stream, like, when I try to think about, like, what are the things that I could talk about? Like, what are my areas of expertise? Like, how can I help people? Demon Arts coming back and says, you're not very deep in blockchain technology, but if Engine moves to Polkadot, does that mean Cliff has to move Lost Relics to also to Polkadot? And if so, how difficult is that? Yeah, so I did a whole stream on this, my very last VOD. Go check it out on YouTube. My whole last stream was about Engine, Polkadot, and what it could mean for Cliff moving the game to Lost Relics. The Lost Relics moving to Polkadot. I think regardless of what happens, I think this type of decision is going to continue to happen. Like, whether it's Polkadot or a new layer 2 or a new type of crypto or something that comes out, some new feature with NFTs or some new way to do DeFi or some new way to, like, do crypto gaming, these things are going to keep happening, and these questions are going to keep popping up and popping up and popping up. So I think the only thing we can do, I mean, Cliff's the expert on this. Like, I have no clue what it takes to do, takes to do that. I would assume that if Engine is doing this, and Lost Relics is one of the primary games on Engine, I would assume that Engine has a vested interest in helping a transition happen, or maybe building out the transition with these games in mind. But I don't know. Will Cliff add another skin like the Ninja Kage, and that you can buy with gold? Because some people say that blockchain items with gold is not good for the economy, but I don't see why it should be. I think it is good for the economy. I think it's a gold sink. Hey, we got another follow. Moomba 24, welcome to the strike team, baby. Welcome to the strike team. You think it's going to work out organically, even if there are whales that want to eat up the price of the blockchain items at the end of the day because they need players to buy it? And if the prices are ridiculous, they will be forced to drop their prices because no one would buy. But if a whale of the size of magnitude that I'm talking about comes into the game and they buy up all these items, like, they're the ones that are setting the floor. And in using the scenario that you just put out, what the heck? Why did I go in up? Damn it. Okay. Using that logic, if you're a whale and you come in and you buy all those items and set a new floor, you're either speculating, and if you're speculating and you're a whale, then you're willing to hold on to that for a while. And if you're not speculating, then you're doing it for a purpose. And if you're doing it for a purpose, if you're trying to build something out, this goes back to the idea I was talking about how players and investors are going to affect the economy. Like, if Lost Relics becomes like a part of the metaverse where players go to, then what's to stop someone like a Binance who wants to do advertising to come in and build and buy all these items for a purpose within the game? You know? If someone comes in and buys up these items and makes the new floor, they're doing that for a purpose, which means they're willing to hold those items for a while. They are not going to care if people buy them. They're not going to care if people buy them until whatever the reason that they bought them for either backfires or doesn't play out. Right? You think that blockchain items with gold is good for the economy because more people will complete bounties to get gold and then sell bounty chests? Yeah, that's another way. I think there's a chance. I almost did it again. I almost went into Mount Olketh again. I think there's a chance. The same way you're saying right now about how bounties interact with gold and bounties interact with shadow stones. I think we might get a new feature that does that too. I don't know what that would be. I have no clue what some of these leaks mean. XICX coming in with the big one. Big question coming in. He says, I think players will get skilled enough not to need legendaries, epics and up. Well, if that happens, then the value of blockchain items fall. And if the value of blockchain items fall, then that would have a negative impact on the economy. You might be right. But in order for an economy to thrive, I think we're going to have to be in a world where skilled players are the ones, through their skill and their knowledge, the ones that are able to farm out or acquire these blockchain items. and then sell them to the either investors or non-skilled players or people that are not willing to put in the amount of time or the effort. Because when that happens, that's how it circulates. There has to be a demand. And if you don't need skill to acquire these things, then there's no demand. I'm sorry, other way around. If skill is the only reason if skill's the only way to progress, then there's no demand for anything other than increasing your skill, which inherently is just a free skill comes with time and practice, you know, which is not an economic based theory, right? If you were correct, I mean, using that logic, it takes away the main advantage that crypto games have. This ability to create a real world economy within these digital spaces. I don't know. It is a tough one. Even though how skilled you are, better equipment makes you clear dungeons faster. Yep. That's also true. Also, like if you're more like why would you want to get more skilled? Like what's the driving motivation to become more skilled? Just because? If the driving motivation is to progress on the leaderboard, then we're playing just another video game just like we always have. You know? But it takes you get what I'm trying to say? Like it takes away the main thing that makes Lost Relics unique. Well, no, that's not true. It just might adapt. The game would need to adapt really differently than the way it is right now. And it could. You think endurance is a skill? Yeah, I think endurance is that's a tough one. The idea of endurance, the idea of time. I'm not gonna lie, like one of the main reasons why I bought a lot of the items that I invested into in the beginning was because I knew that there was no way I was going to be able to compete with someone like Howling Mad, you know, in terms of time, grinding hours, time. There's no way. I knew it. Like, there's no way. So the only way I would be able to compete would be to you know, put out of my own pocket and invest in personally, you know. Part of the reason why I'm at where I'm at is because of those decisions. Like, that's how I can compete, right? But not everybody's in the scenario I am in. So how do we create an economy where players that invest can win and players that grind and get skilled can win? That's what we're trying to figure out. Harder dungeons give you the incentive to skill. Because right now, personally, I don't think you need more than one health relic, and I'm at level 26. Playing with green remnants is really tough, has really toughened for me. Do you think, well, I personally don't think that the skill level in Lost Relics at this point in time is high enough to merit. I don't think the game is skilled that requires enough skill to where, damn it. Hold on. Yeah, I don't think we have enough skill in Lost Relics yet. And maybe that might come if we get things like new types of enemies or new types of weapons or dodging mechanics, armor mechanics. That could all change. But I think right now we're not at the mechanics are not that advanced. I think at this point in time. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm wrong. Ooh, guys, I am gassed. I think we had a good conversation here. Okay, we got one of two choices here. I think we might need to go ahead and maybe call it for the stream. While I would like to stream some more, I did promise my fiance that I was going to help her with some of the homework. Which, if you're listening right now, babe, I'm coming, I know. But, I also need to get something to eat, because I'm very, very hungry. I think we had a good little conversation today. I'm not sure. What do you guys think? Any last items you want me to cover before we wrap it up for the day? Ghost Car jumping in. In a play-to-earn game, in order to earn, there must always be new players who join the game and spend money to earn more? Question mark. Or do you know any other games that don't work like that? Yeah, I don't think you don't need, in order to earn, the player base doesn't need to grow. It's not required. And like the way you can look at this is like any other business that operates that their growth model isn't, that their profit model isn't based on player growth. Like, so, growth of the community. So like, nonprofits is one, like where like once you have a set number of investors that are willing to invest in whatever your project is over the course of time. Like once you meet your fundraising goals, as long as that community stays the same size and continues to put in money, you're fine. Like obviously the easy way to assume growth is by players coming in, but that's not necessarily true. You know, there could be a world where we have 10,000 Lost Relics players that like play hardcore over the course of years and years and years, and those 10 players circulating money all amongst each other could definitely be able to provide a living for everybody. You know, it's the idea of like the velocity of money concept from economics. And as long as money continues to change hands, everyone could be able to earn. I don't think it's a scam. I just think it's we're just talking about growth. We're just talking about the difference between having 100 customers and 1,000 customers, and what do you need to do to get the next 1,000 customers. Oof, I am gassed, peeps. I need some food in my system, and I need it ASAP. But I think we had a really good conversation. I'm not going to lie with you guys. I started today's stream not knowing. I had no clue what the heck we were going to talk about. I had no clue. I had nothing in my mind to talk about anything specific. You know, I would say, you know, when you guys are grinding or bored or whatnot, like feel free to go look at some of the old VODs that I have up on YouTube. Shoot, I'm just going to pop it, whatevs. Go back and look at some of those because I think it's going to be really interesting for some of those of you that are new to see how things have progressed in Lost Relics and you know, see some of my opinions from back in the day. I think it's just funny how this entire space has grown. Again, a lot of those predictions were wrong, but like when you compare last year to this year, it's not even close, man. It's not even close. Even right now, you know, where we're all waiting for this new update. It's just funny. Back then we had 4 relic slots, not 5. You know, think about that. Like the moment Cliff turned the utility slots from 4 to 5, that gave every single utility item in the game more use because now you could equip it. You know, which meant all of those blockchain items increased in value, which is what happened. You know, who knows? Once a few players show how easy it is to beat a dungeon with lesser weapons, people are going to adapt really quick. I agree. But then the argument works the other way too. You know, once someone shows how quickly you're able to beat it with better weapons than you are lower skill weapons or lower tier weapons, then that's going to change their mind again too, because people are always going to want to be the most skilled and have the most advantages that they could potentially afford. You're not very familiar with Axie, but in common, if the economies grow is based on new players and their money, that is most likely. No, that's not necessarily a pyramid scheme. A period scheme. A period scheme idea, and the reason why is because the way the Axie economy works is that a portion of the transactions go back into the treasury, which helps fund the adoption of more players, or just the continued earning of the current player base. Like a pyramid scheme wouldn't play out that way. Like if you're gonna like, I think the problem most players are having right now is not understanding how much these video games are actually being built. Like Axie's nowhere near a complete product, and new features are going to come in that are going to completely change the economy. Just like same thing with Lost Relics. Yeah, is it possible that the last leak in the Discord is the leak that is how you're going to grind Shadowstones? Is it possible? Yes. I think it's a very low likelihood. I made sure to get level 80 just in case that is, but I don't think that's how it's going to play out, because I'm thinking if Shadowstones are going to come into the game, I think they're going to have to come into the game being where all players can benefit from them. I don't think it would benefit just one tier of player being able to get them. Especially, I don't know. What if higher tier? I mean, if the argument right now is that the OGs have a lot of items in the game, and you get Shadowstones and you want to take them out of the game, the only way for you to take them out of the game would be to, well, this is a guess, would be to sell something on the market, which would mean a blockchain item would move out of the old players' hands and into new players' hands, while Shadowstones would move out of new players' hands and into old players' hands, which could then be reinvested too if they chose to. It's a tough one. I don't know. Let's see. You see people FOMO'd into buying epic weapons from the start because they see people stream it and then they think, yeah, I mean, FOMO's always going to play a big role. FOMO's always going to play a big role. And that's unfortunately one of the things. Maybe one of the things I need to talk about next time on the next stream is going to be like the cycles that I have seen, like how players have come and gone, how investors have come and gone, and how like we go from peak season, like peak holiday season, to like summer low season, off season. That might be a good one to give you guys my thoughts on, so that maybe you guys have your own opinions that we can see. Yeah, boy coming in says, I have an idea. It might be the case because there are some leaks that have not yet to come. That's true. Ooh, interesting. Yeah, boy, interesting. Ghost car. Let's see. It must be a new skill if it's for Shadowstones, or it will be bad for the economy. What if it's not skilled? What if it's not based on a skill? I don't know. It could be 100 different things. And no matter what way it is, people are going to complain. No matter what way it is. But I'll come back and I'll give you my ideas. Vulgar's coming in and nagging, yeah, boy. Nagging, yeah, boy, to share. But okay, ladies and gentlemen, that's definitely going to have to be me. It for me. Time to go get some food. I hope you guys enjoyed the stream. Do me a favor real quick, please. Jump on YouTube. Find me Strike Team Games on YouTube. Hit that sub button. Find me on Twitch. Hit that follow button. On Twitch, I'm Striker LR. On Twitter, I'm F Munoz CPA. On YouTube also, on Facebook also, Strike Team Games. And I'm just posting content there, very basic, nothing too big. But, we'll see how it all rolls out. But I hope Ooh, yeah, boy. Yeah, boy. Yeah, boy. Yeah, boy. What I can say, I look forward to spending more money in the store. Yeah, oh, yeah, that's definitely true. Um, when Cliff talks about the idea of an economy and being able to cycle through the in-game, through his store, that's super bullish, man. Super bullish to me. But again, thank you guys for checking me all out today. Let me see if I can find let's find a Lost Relics streamer that we can raid on Twitch real fast. And I'm going to go get myself some lunch because I need it, guys. I need it. I need it. I need it. Trey Oki. Okay, he's got one viewer, guys. He's got one viewer. Everyone go on in. Show him some love. We're going to show him a little bit of love. We're probably going to surprise the heck out of him. But make sure to let him know that Striker says hi. If you guys have any ideas or anything, any specific items you guys want me to talk about on the next stream, let me know. Always interested in hearing y'all's opinions, and I'll definitely give you my thoughts on what could happen next. So in the meantime, for right now, Striker signing off. Let Trey know that Striker says hi. Peace out.